Look, it's clear you weren't lying when you said you could have taken over Earth because your finger just took over America. I need you to help me fix that.
All right. So you're asking for an invasion?
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my full Rick and Morty Season 7, Episode 3 video. There were a whole bunch of Easter eggs and references. Unity finally came back after Season 2. Been a while since we've seen her. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. And careful for spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet. We'll just start at the beginning, work our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs, WTF moments. Starting with the episode title, Air Force Wong, which is a reference to both Air Force One, the movie with Harrison Ford, and Dr. Wong, Rick's therapist. It was a really big Dr. Wong episode, in addition to a big Unity and a big President episode. The cold open starts with Rick getting another therapy session with Dr. Wong using a hologram so that he can find a bag of Funyuns that he left behind the couch, because apparently he goes to therapy so often that he needs snacks just to make it through. He gets so hungry. There was a big therapy bit running through the episode, the whole idea that Rick has slowly been working on himself since the last Unity episode in Season 2. And he's been doing so much therapy, like he spends so much time at therapy, that he needs snacks just to make it to the end. They were also really specific by using the Funyuns, like they mentioned the Funyuns a couple times. Normally brands of food or drinks in the Rick and Morty universe or the Rick and Morty multiverse tend to be generic parodies of real-life brands. There are a couple exceptions to that rule though, like during Season 3 they did the McDonald's Szechuan sauce. They start the whole bit with the president being horny for Dr. Wong when he shows up to get Rick's help with another disaster. The first time in the episode, he's helping out with the Loch Ness Monster, which they canonized to Rick and Morty. Like there are a bunch of monsters that they canonize in this. Both Rick and the president have special identifiers for each other on their phones. Like on the president, it just says US President with a symbol for the president like a shield and an eagle. But on the president's phone, he actually has a picture of them killing the Loch Ness Monster as his lock screen in the subtitle reading, Goddamn Spaceman. I think that's just mostly meant to be a metaphor about their relationship. Like they both hate each other, but they also like each other a lot too, because they do make peace at the end of the episode. That's pretty much the arc of their relationship through all of their previous episodes together. Dr. Wong suggests Rick needs people to think that he's cool when he mentions the president is calling him. They actually referenced this earlier this season too. Like the whole idea is that Rick actually does care about what people think of him. He talked about creating a mystique around himself so that people feared him more. They wind up using that concept for the president's whole arc in this episode and how he desperately needs approval. You could call that a joke, like them clowning on pretty much any US president in history. When Rick jokes about her working extra hard because she wants to earn more money, at the end of the episode, they wind up paying this off because she winds up giving therapy sessions to Rick, the president, and Unity to save the planet, earning a ton of money, sending the bill to the government because it's so big. But the real thing about Rick, though, is that he doesn't actually care about the acquisition of wealth. Like, he doesn't care about actual literal money. Anytime he would really need something, he could actually just create it. And even though they make a big deal about the president and Dr. Wong being on a first-name basis in the episode, we learned his full name was Andre Curtis a couple seasons ago, and I think this is the first episode, though, when we learned Dr. Wong's first name is Helen. Look in the background, you notice they changed the poster outside of her office. It's just a regular family with the dedication theme. It's just meant to be a reference to Rick being dedicated to his family. Previously, the poster was all about courage with someone eating a hot dog, and it was meant to be a joke about Goldenfold uncontrollably eating his own poop, like have courage to not eat your own poop. There's a big info dump on the Loch Ness Monster in the Rick and Morty universe. In this reality, the Loch Ness Monster is real, not just a myth. In 1961, now we're talking about the Cold War era here because they talk about the Soviets as part of its backstory. During the Cold War, the CIA moves the Loch Ness Monster to Lake Erie in Ohio, replaces her bones with titanium. She was bit by werewolves. Werewolves also now canon to the Rick and Morty multiverse, turning her into a were Loch Ness Monster, which they use as an anti-submarine weapon. And because we're still in the middle of the Cold War era, like this is still a long time ago in the past, the Soviets deploy a leprechaun to stop her. Leprechauns also now canon to the Rick and Morty multiverse. Even though we saw one on Interdimensional Cable, that was from another universe. They turn its bones into silver, which they call the Loch Ness Monster version of AIDS, getting trapped on the bottom of the ocean until present day when she's risen, angry, and looking for food and revenge. No joke, I actually had to re-record that part of the video like a couple times because I couldn't stop laughing. See if you can recite the president's entire explainer for the Loch Ness Monster without cracking up. You notice while the president is explaining everything, Rick is casually eating the Funyuns still, like he could barely be bothered. Mostly he's just going with the president as an excuse to get out of therapy. They start one of what becomes many Scientology jokes during the episode. Rick is also apparently a huge fan of Tom Cruise, big fan of the Mission Impossible movies probably. That's mostly just a reference to Tom Cruise being one of the most famous Scientologists on the planet. The Space Mormon reference is to the origins of Scientology and how a lot of their beliefs reference aliens. And the president is correct when he says that therapy is working on Rick, as he quickly takes back his joke on silly religions. None of the intro scenes are featured in this episode, so maybe we'll see one at some point in one of the future episodes this season. We're still only in episode 3 right now, so there's still plenty of opportunities. When they go back to their house, they're watching interdimensional cable in a TV show with Mr. Stabby, who has arms and legs that are swords. The whole bit is that he just stabs all of his audiences. Everybody that comes to his show winds up dying. They wind up turning into a much larger bit about fame-obsessed culture and reality shows wanting attention, even if it's bad attention. I didn't sense any direct parodies of actual real-life TV shows with the swords for arms and legs, but if you did sense any, just write it below in the comments. When the president starts making fun of Morty, telling him to shut up, he's always been like that, like he doesn't like Morty that much. But generally, this episode, the president is a way bigger dick than in previous episodes. They reveal that Bigfoot exists, and he lives in Montana. The whole bit about the Nazis in America is like a right-wing political joke that people talk about in real life. When he chides his general about the bit, like, oh, not you too, that's just a joke about how a lot of people on his staff are also probably right-wing. Virginia's state motto is actually Virginia is for lovers, which they use for the Unity storyline. She basically takes over the state just because she's waiting for an opportunity to talk to Rick about his hunt for Rick Prime. That was the person, quote-unquote, that he was searching for that she wanted to talk to him to. They didn't actually mention Rick Prime by name, but that's who she was referencing. But the whole idea is that she winds up turning the state into a utopia. And this is also a joke during season 2 in that previous Unity episode. The whole idea is that she's this dangerous space monster wanting to consume the entire universe. But the way they make it seem is almost like life is better under her than it is with free will. They're actually getting into this whole concept during Loki season 2, with Loki arguing that the TVA is necessary to control people's free will in order to help maintain the multiverse and keep it from destroying itself. They make the first of many digs at the president's approval rating, which is a 25%, and for reference, even the most hated US presidents in real life had approval ratings that were way higher than this. So the whole idea is that the country really hates the president. Notice that the president also calls his staff by their first names, paying off the first names bit just a little bit more. When he says America knows and incinerates cults when they see them, it's just meant to play into his whole trigger-happy attitude during the episode, making it sound like he almost wants another civil war, which he shouts out later on the news. Like he offers Dr. Wong a gun as if it's a stick of gum. The crack team he puts together of the aliens and the artificial intelligence is just an elaborate ploy to get Dr. Wong's phone number because he's super horny. You can let me know in the comments if you think the aliens are specific references to any other pop culture stories, movies, or TV shows, but I felt like the artificial intelligence was a reference to HAL 9000 from 2001 Space Odyssey. Notice when Rick says 3 billion women on the planet have nothing to do with him. In real life, there are 3.95 billion women on the planet, meaning that about 950 million women have something to do with Rick. That means that he really gets around. Flea Flack warns Rick again about Bigfoot, but he's not going to Montana, so I think the whole idea is that he's just really bad at his job. Then we get a bunch more backstory about Dr. Wong. She used to do field studies in grad school, and she was super freaky, which the president obviously very happy about. Maybe you could call that a joke about Susan Sarandon's previous movies she made when she was younger, and if you didn't realize, Dr. Wong is voiced by Susan Sarandon in real life. They actually explained that the reason she wound up on the show back during season 3 is because her grandchildren are super fans of Rick and Morty, so she just did it to make them happy. Then when the governor tries to turn the president away, it's actually because Unity was only there to wait for an opportunity to talk to Rick about Prime Rick. She didn't want to take over the entire country, so she was just trying to contain herself to the state of Virginia. Then they start making more jokes about how things would be better under Unity, like you don't need free will, things would be way better with her around, and making a bunch of communism jokes. When the president references the government getting into a war with a state, he's talking about the actual Civil War, which he references later in the episode. They make another Scientology joke when they reference Unity being a body-snatching hive mind, and a Will Smith joke. That's because his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, is a Scientologist, or she was one, and he was hoping to use his Secret Servicemen as an excuse to meet them. There are a lot of celebrities in real life who are Scientologists. Then Unity comes back. We haven't seen her since season 2. I don't think that they've referenced her that many times either. Like, there have been a couple references, but this is the first time that she's actually come back in a big way as a character, and it is Christina Hendricks who's coming back to voice the character. The reason why she said she came back is because she found out through the grapevine, so to speak, across the multiverse, that Rick was looking for Rick Prime again, and apparently they introduced this canon, this backstory that predates the events of Season 1. They're basically explaining more of his history with Rick Prime. So the idea is that at some point, Rick was dating Unity, like they were actively together before the events of Season 1, and while that was happening, he was on the hunt for Rick Prime, and he almost wound up dying. So now in present day, Unity found out that he's looking for him again and is coming to warn him to stop so that he doesn't wind up getting himself killed. Most of this, I think, is just to hype up a big battle between the two of them at some point later this season, like maybe the finale. She left him a couple messages, which he did not answer, so she was so worried about him that she just came and posted up in Virginia, waiting for an opportunity to talk to him. Rick reveals that after the events of Season 2, when they broke up, he created an anti-Unity gun that he could spray people with to keep her away, basically revealing how bitter he is about their breakup still in present day, even though he's slowly been working on himself. Like, emotionally, he has grown as a person, but he's still really, really pissed off about it. We find out that Dr. Wong is just a nutritionist. She's not an actual psychologist or psychiatrist. The whole bit with putting the energy dome over the city is a reference to The Simpsons. They basically put a dome over the city of Springfield. It's also been referenced in a lot of sci-fi stories like movies, TV shows, so it's actually a pretty common thing. The president also implies that he has domes like this ready around every single state inside the US. Then the news anchor Shonda basically references most of the president's episodes in the past, all the disasters during each of them, not every episode, but most of his episodes. The alien invasion she starts with was his first episode, Get Swifty. The mutant turkeys were from Season 4. The White House in space was from their big Star Wars parody in Season 6, saying that it's still up there in orbit and they just built another White House after that. The eco-conscious dinosaurs were also from Season 6. I did full episode breakdown videos, Easter eggs for all those, so I'll put links for that stuff down in the description below. He reveals his mother is dead, and he hated her, which they turn into a bigger therapy joke with Dr. Wong, like, I'm obsessed with my mother and have a bad relationship with her. That's probably bad for our relationship. They kind of imply that Dr. Wong was about to get with the president until he went off the deep end of crazy during the episode. And when Rick whips out all of his Inspector Gadget weapons, most of the weapons are similar to previous episodes, with one exception. Like, zoom in and enhance here, this is actually a copy of a United States voting ballot info sheet. You get these when you vote in presidential elections. It's just a joke about Rick voting the president out of office. It'll be interesting to see if he just remains president through the entire run of Rick and Morty, like Season 10, Season 20, however long they wind up going, because usually US presidents can only serve for up to 8 terms. Theoretically, because we only saw him as the president in Season 3 for the first time, they could actually have him still be the president in Season 11 and have it make sense. They make a joke about America's military tech being made of shoddy workmanship, but China being a way bigger threat. Rick gets pissed at the president when he starts making fun of Unity, showing that he's still kind of in love with her. They also make it seem like he wants to get back together with her at the end of the episode, but understands when she's not having it. That's also meant to be another reference to his therapy sessions actually working, like he's actually able to make it through that, whereas during the events of Season 2, after they broke up, he tried to kill himself. Dr. Wong basically breaks up with the president, who he then kicks out, telling her to use the secret exit of the White House in the women's bathroom, which is used mostly for sex workers, and another joke about the Kennedy sex tunnels from back in Season 3. As he says, they also get used a lot, meaning there are a ton of those kinds of women, quote-unquote, that make it in and out of the White House secretly. Turns out the US president gets around almost as much as Rick does. There are a bunch of butt play jokes too. Losing a finger in action must be some hardcore fun times too. Like, the metaphors that they make, pretty obvious. When Rick comes back to the garage and starts working on this device, he's working on it a couple times in the episode. You can let me know in the comments what you think it is. It looks kind of like a bong, but then it kind of disappears later in the episode. Like, we don't know where it winds up going. When the president takes the giant bomb to the dome, it looked kind of like a Dr. Strangelove reference, just because they do a lot of Dr. Strangelove references when they show the White House bunker here in the war room. Because the dome is more of a Simpsons parody, they actually did the Dr. Strangelove joke with the bomb during the Simpsons episodes. He hijacks the hive in order to push his approval rating to 100%, and Rick's gimmicks that he mentions to Unity are just the storytelling tropes of movies and TV shows where characters will just show up out of nowhere, like break the laws of physics' super fast travel system. They kind of did this during the Game of Thrones later seasons, where characters would just travel all over Westeros super fast in a way that wouldn't make sense. She mentions the phone messages she left for him, which they play at the end of the episode, and the cardinal mistake that Dr. Wong commits is by saying that one of them is wrong and one of them is right. Normally in a situation like this, neither one of them would be right and neither one of them would be wrong. Dr. Wong basically helps communicate to Unity that Rick has become a better person. He's grown emotionally as a person since the events of Season 2 when they broke up, and Unity invades Earth to help save it. They pay off the bit with Dr. Wong earning a ton of money by sending the bill to the government. Like I said though, Rick doesn't really care about actual money. The way they end things with Unity, she leaves like they'll keep in touch at some point. We'll probably see her come back in a future season. They reveal Rick has a secret stash of beer. Zoom and enhance, he's also got what looks like a container of ice cream, some red fluid with a creature floating in it. I can't tell what it is, and something with those green containers. You can let me know what you think those are in the comments below. But basically showing how much Rick has grown as a person, he takes the beer to the president to console him because of their respective love lives being in the dumps. Last time he tried and failed to kill himself. They also pay off the Scientology bit with the voicemail trying to recruit him, implying that the Scientologists were listening in on his conversations during the episode. Like they heard, quote unquote, that he was referencing Scientology, like, oh, we heard you were saying nice things about us. Meaning that they are monitoring what everyone says. Also making a John Travolta joke because he's also a famous Scientologist. During the post-credit scene, they do a big Larry King interview bit with Mr. Stabby coming back as more commentary on fame-obsessed culture and doing anything for attention at any cost. Like, well, you're paying attention to me even though I am killing my entire audience, 58,000 people. Also trying to justify what he's doing because he is a minority, underrepresented, because he has arms and legs that are swords. There are a bunch of Easter eggs and references in the episode, so if you spotted any that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. In my episode 4 video we'll post next week. Big reminder too is that Invincible Season 2 episodes start this week. I'll be doing weekly videos for that. It is probably one of the best series on television right now. Not just best superhero series, but just best series in general. Click here for my Invincible Season 2 trailer video, and click here for all my Rick and Morty episodes. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.